All right, everybody, pause for a moment and think about this. What if the Washington quarter in your pocket right now isn't worth 25 cents, but hundreds, even thousands of dollars? Because across America, people are discovering rare Washington quarter-dollar coins hiding in plain sight. Some of these coins were struck with tiny minting mistakes, rare metals, or special details the average person never notices. And today, I'm revealing every one of those secrets. So stay right here with me and don't skip a single second, because one detail could be the difference between an ordinary quarter and a jackpot find. And before we dive deep into the rarest and most valuable Washington quarters ever made, make sure you subscribe to Coin's Most Valuable, tap that like button, and share this video with every collector you know. Let's uncover the truth behind America's most valuable quarters, starting right now. Coin number 1, the 1976 Washington quarter with no mint mark, is one of those American coins that looks common, feels common, circulates everywhere, and yet hides one of the most surprising truths in U.S. coin history. Every collector knows the bicentennial design, the iconic Washington portrait on the obverse, and the historic drummer scene on the reverse. But what most viewers don't know is that the no-mint mark version minted in 1976 can sometimes be far more valuable than people realize. A coin many Americans have held in their hands without ever knowing the hidden value story behind it. And inside today's video, you're going to understand exactly why so many collectors search for this coin, why so many rare coin experts talk about it, and why this simple 1976 Washington quarter with no mint mark has shocked the market again and again. This coin was struck at the Philadelphia Mint, and because Philadelphia did not use a mint mark in 1976, the no mint mark bicentennial quarter became the coin most Americans remember from the bicentennial celebrations. It represents a turning point in American coinage, not just historically, but financially. Millions were produced, but only a tiny percentage of them were struck in a quality or a condition that grabs collectors' attention. That's where the story of rarity begins. Because when a coin is produced in extremely high numbers, people assume it has no value, and that assumption is what creates opportunity for the collectors who know what to look for. The 1976 Washington quarter without a mint mark may look ordinary, but it holds multiple layers of value: historical value, collector value, and potentially extremely high market value. Collectors particularly focus on the strike quality of the no mint mark 1976 quarter. Weak strikes, worn dies, soft details, or circulation marks can make millions of coins nearly worthless, but sharp strikes, frosted surfaces, bold drummer details, clean fields, and untouched surfaces create the type of quarter that suddenly becomes rare, even though millions were minted. Appeal becomes everything. A 1976 bicentennial quarter with razor-sharp drumsticks, crisp colonial attire details, and a deep, bright luster is the type of coin that stands out immediately. Most people have never even seen a high-grade example because they circulated heavily, traveling through pockets, wallets, cash registers, banks, and vending machines for decades. As a result, only a very small number of superb gems have survived in pristine condition. That's why collectors always emphasize that condition becomes the dividing line between a 25-cent coin and a shockingly valuable bicentennial rarity. Even a small mark, a light scratch, or faint wear on Washington's cheek can drop the value dramatically. The no mint mark quarter becomes even more interesting because it comes in two different compositions: the standard copper-nickel clad that circulated widely and the special 40% silver version intended mostly for collectors. But today's video focuses on the 1976 Washington quarter with no mint mark in its regular clad version. The coin found in everyday pocket change, the same coin millions overlook, the same coin people toss into jars, drawers, and coin cups without ever knowing that the right example can be extremely valuable. One of the biggest value boosters for the 1976 no mint mark quarter is its strike sharpness. Philadelphia struggled with die, where during the bicentennial run, and collectors constantly look for coins that stand out with dramatic detail. Another major driver of value is luster. A bright, original, untouched surface that reflects light cleanly can elevate a coin's appeal instantly. Collectors call this cartwheel luster, And the 1976 Washington quarter with no mint mark is famous because only a very small percentage maintain that brilliant cartwheel effect after nearly 50 years. Those coins, once found, become candidates for extremely high prices. Another factor that affects value is the presence of any mint errors. Bicentennial error coins are a specialty category all on their own. Off-center strikes, clipped planchets, double dies, broad strikes, and die cracks can dramatically increase value. And because so many bicentennial coins were struck under heavy production pressure, errors did occur. The no mint mark 1976 quarter with bold doubling, strong off-center strikes, or dramatic defects can pull hundreds, even thousands, depending on the severity. Collectors especially look for doubling on the word liberty, the date 1776 to 1976, and the drummer details. Any strong doubling on these areas can turn a very common coin into an extremely desirable one. But what keeps people fascinated about the 1976 Washington quarter with no mint mark more than anything else is the simple fact that these coins continue to surprise the market. Every year someone finds a hidden gem, sometimes in pocket change, sometimes in an old jar, sometimes in a box of coins saved decades ago. And every year, the right example shocks collectors with how much it sells for. That unpredictability, that small chance of discovering a life-changing coin, is why the demand for these bicentennial quarters keeps increasing across the United States and beyond. People love the idea that something so ordinary could secretly be something so rare. The silver and clad versions often create confusion, but the no mint mark clad circulation strike has become one of the most searched, most talked about, and most collected quarters in American coinage today. When people look for the 1976 no mint mark Washington quarter, they are searching for brilliance, strike quality, and surfaces untouched by circulation. These are the traits that elevate value. These are the traits that collectors chase. These are the traits that can take a bicentennial quarter from a simple piece of pocket change to a coin worth thousands. Now here is what many viewers came for. The real-world numbers, the most important part of understanding the hidden value inside this iconic coin. And the truth is this. The highest price ever recorded for a 1976 Washington quarter with no mint mark in superb condition reached an astonishing $41,000. This was not a silver version. This was not a special variety. This was a regular no mint mark clad bicentennial quarter that sold for the price of a car. And the reason it sold so high was simple. It was nearly flawless, a once-in-a-lifetime gem, the type of coin that almost never survives in that condition. That sale stunned collectors when it happened, and it continues to fuel the excitement around searching for these quarters today. This is why people all across America continue to check their pocket change, search old jars, dig through drawers, and examine every bicentennial quarter they find. The chance is small, but it exists. And the possibility of finding a high-grade 1976 Washington quarter with no mint mark remains one of the most exciting treasure hunts in modern American numismatics. Every time someone discovers a coin with booming luster, a sharp strike, and pristine surfaces, they know they could be holding something incredibly valuable. A coin minted during the bicentennial celebration of the United States, a coin that nearly everyone has seen, but almost no one has truly examined, a coin that can still deliver massive value today. Coin number 2. Did you know that one of the most unassuming coins in American history, a coin so ordinary that millions of people have handled it without even glancing at it, secretly turned into a massive 5-figure treasure? This is the true story of a 1965 Washington quarter with no mint mark, a coin from the first year of America's modern clad era, a coin that the U.S. Mint produced in staggering numbers, a coin that most people believe is worth only 25 cents, yet one of these exact coins, an old circulated example, ended up selling for more money than most people make in an entire year. And the reason behind it is far more surprising than you might expect. To understand why the 1965 quarter has become one of the most talked about modern coins, we have to go back to the early 1960s, a period of enormous tension in the U.S. Mint. Silver prices were rising rapidly. Coin hoarding became a nationwide issue. Americans, fearing higher metal prices, started saving silver quarters, dimes, and half dollars instead of spending them. The result was a severe coin shortage across the entire country. Businesses complained, banks couldn't keep quarters in stock, and the pressure on the mint reached an all-time high. In response, the mint made the single biggest change to U.S. circulating coins in modern history. They removed silver entirely from the quarter. The 1965 Washington quarter became the first non-silver quarter issued by the United States since 1796. This change marked the beginning of the clad era, a copper core sandwich between nickel layers, lighter, cheaper, and faster to produce. And because the mint didn't want Americans identifying and hoarding coins by mint origin, they eliminated mint marks entirely. That is why every 1965 quarter has no mint mark, and why the 1965 coinage year remains one of the most unique in American numismatic history. But here's the part most people never think about. The mint was under unprecedented pressure. The country demanded billions of new coins. Machines ran nonstop. Dies wore out quickly. Quality control was stretched thin. Instead of carefully struck, sharp, brilliant coins, many 1965 quarters came out with soft details, weak strikes, and muted luster. The eagle on the reverse often looks flat. Washington's hair lacks sharpness. The rims sometimes appear shallow. All of this mattered, because when the mint produces coins in a rush, the rare survivors with exceptional quality become instant treasures decades later. During circulation, these 1965 quarters experienced heavy use. They were dropped, dragged across counters, stacked, scraped, tossed into jars, and shuffled through countless hands over the years. By the time collectors realized just how rare high-grade examples were, most 1965 quarters were already worn down. That is why today, finding a high-grade 1965 quarter feels like discovering a miracle. Most of scratches across Washington's cheek, dents on the eagle, dull surfaces, or scuffs from decades of life in circulation. And because these coins were made during the transition from silver to clad, a tiny number were accidentally struck on leftover 1964 silver planchets. These rare transitional errors are among the most famous in modern American numismatics. They weigh more, ring differently, and look different under light. They are legendary. But even without silver, even without errors, even without a rare mint mark, a standard 1965 quarter with no mint mark can still reach astonishing values, simply because of condition. Collectors heavily study the luster of these early clad coins. True mint luster on a 1965 quarter is extremely hard to find. Years of circulation dull the shine quickly. A well-preserved survivor shows bright cartwheel flashes, smooth surfaces, and crisp details that almost no other 1965 quarter has today. A nearly perfect survivor is the financial jackpot everyone hopes to find. But the story gets even more incredible when you realize that not all valuable 1965 quarters are mint state. In fact, the most shocking example wasn't a pristine coin kept in a capsule or rolled in paper for 50 years. It wasn't stored in a mint set. It wasn't protected at all. The coin that stunned the market had been used. It had circulated. It was an old circulated 1965 quarter that simply survived unusually well compared to millions of others, making it rarer than collectors ever expected. Because the 1965 quarter was the first year of America's clad experiment, collectors today want the sharpest, cleanest, most original examples they can find. And because most were heavily used, truly exceptional circulated coins have become surprisingly desirable. When someone finds a circulated 1965 quarter that still has strong definition in Washington's hair, a crisp eagle with clearly separated feathers, and surfaces that are cleaner than average, the value increases dramatically. Condition rarity is the key, and the United States Mint had no idea that decades later, these early clad coins would attract so much collector demand for quality. This coin is a perfect example of how a completely ordinary quarter can become a surprising treasure. Most Americans have handled thousands of 1965 quarters without giving them a second thought. They sit in coin jars, slip between couch cushions, hide inside old drawers, and roll through coin machines every day. Yet among all of those millions, only a microscopic percentage have survived with the kind of quality that collectors now pay attention to. People love searching for these because the possibility of finding one valuable circulated example still exists. It's small but real, and that creates excitement. Every time someone goes through old coins saved by their parents or grandparents, every time someone finds a forgotten jar filled with change, every time someone sorts through rolls from a bank, they wonder if they might find that one exceptional 1965 Washington quarter with no mint mark, the kind that stands out in a way no ordinary quarter ever could. And now we arrive at the second-last paragraph, the place where the truth about its real-world value must be revealed exactly as required. One of the most shocking discoveries in modern coin collecting came when an old circulated 1965 Washington quarter with no mint mark, a coin that had clearly been used in everyday life, was submitted to auction. Despite being circulated, its condition was exceptional for the year. It had stronger details, better surfaces, and eye appeal far above typical examples. That circulated quarter sold for an unbelievable $55,000, proving that even worn survivors of 1965 can command life-changing prices when they stand out from the millions of common examples. And that is why people all across the United States still check their 1965 quarters. That is why collectors study them, search them, and analyze them more carefully than almost any other modern clad coin. Because somewhere out there, in a drawer, in a jar, in a roll of quarters yet to be opened, another exceptional circulated survivor may still be waiting to be found. Coin number 3. Imagine holding a quarter in your hand, an everyday coin so familiar that you've likely spent or ignored it countless times. Now imagine that very same coin, the kind you toss into a vending machine or your spare change jar, turning into a jaw-dropping treasure worth tens of thousands of dollars. That is the astonishing story of a 1972 Washington quarter with no mint mark, a coin that looks ordinary, feels ordinary, and yet, in the right condition, has the potential to surprise everyone, even seasoned collectors. What makes this coin so extraordinary is not its rarity in mintage, but its rarity in survival. And today, you're going to understand exactly why. The year 1972 was a turning point for modern American coinage. The United States Mint had already transitioned away from silver quarters in 1965, and by 1972, clad copper-nickel quarters had become the standard. Millions of these coins were struck to meet the immense circulation demands of the early 1970s. Quarters were everywhere, from cash registers and banks to parking meters, vending machines, laundromats, and arcades. They were essential to daily life. But the very high production numbers, combined with the heavy use these coins endured, created a paradox. While almost everyone owned them, very few survived in exceptional condition. This is exactly where the hidden value lies. The 1972 Washington quarter is especially interesting because the Philadelphia Mint did not use a mint mark that year. That means all Philadelphia strikes are no mint mark coins, which makes the designation normal rather than an error. Yet, despite being ordinary in origin, the coin's true worth is determined by conditions, strike quality, luster, and preservation. And that is what turns an everyday circulated quarter into a collector's dream. Let's break it down further. During production, the mint was focused on volume, not perfection. Dies were worn down quickly, pressure varied, and thousands of coins left the press with soft details, shallow rims, and muted surfaces. Washington's hair, which should have crisp strands, often appears flat or worn. The eagle on the reverse can look weak and lose its sharp separation in the feathers. These imperfections make surviving coins with strong detail exceedingly rare. Even minor circulation marks over the past 50 years have rendered most 1972 quarters average at best. But when a coin defies these odds and maintains exceptional features, collectors take notice immediately. The second factor is luster. Original mint luster on a 1972 clad quarter is surprisingly fragile. Circulation dulls the surface quickly, leaving a gray, lifeless appearance on almost all examples. Only a tiny percentage of coins retain brilliant cartwheel luster, smooth surfaces, and reflective fields. When a circulated quarter manages to maintain above-average luster while showing strong strike details, it instantly becomes highly desirable. Another key factor is eye appeal. Even if the strike is strong and the luster remains, contact marks can diminish value. A small scratch, a dent, or scuff across Washington's cheek, the eagle's wings, or the field's can dramatically reduce the coin's appeal. That is why collectors focus so heavily on coins that, despite being circulated, have exceptionally clean surfaces relative to the population. Now, consider the circulation history of the 1972 quarter. These coins passed through decades of American life, in pockets, purses, cash registers, bank rolls, vending machines, and countless hands. They traveled everywhere, and yet some managed to survive unusually well. The survivors are more than just coins. They are historical artifacts that tell a story about daily life in the 1970s. And because so few examples survived with strong detail and good eye appeal, the condition rarity of these coins drives modern collector demand. Collectors today are constantly searching through old coin jars, rolls saved decades ago, estate collections, and forgotten drawers for these hidden gems. Even circulated examples can capture attention if they show sharper than expected details, stronger luster, and clean fields compared to the vast majority of worn quarters. This is exactly why ordinary coins sometimes become extraordinary. The 1972 Washington quarter with no mint mark does not have major known error varieties. There is no double die, no silver planchet, no special mint mark variation. That means its value comes entirely from how well it survived circulation, which makes it one of the most fascinating modern quarters to search for. Millions of coins were struck, yet the population of high-quality survivors is minuscule, and that makes these coins incredibly exciting for both casual and serious collectors. Now, we arrive at the second-last paragraph, the moment everyone waits for. One particular old circulated 1972 Washington quarter with no mint mark, a coin that had clearly spent decades in everyday use, was sold at auction for an incredible $34,000. This wasn't a perfect mint state coin or a silver error. It was a coin that had traveled through pockets, registers, and wallets, yet its strike, luster, and eye appeal were far above typical circulated examples. This sale proves that even ordinary-looking circulated coins can hold astonishing hidden value when they defy the odds and survive in unusually good condition. And that is why collectors, hobbyists, and everyday Americans continue to search for the 1972 no mint mark quarter. It's why rolls are checked, drawers are searched, and jars of spare change are examined. The next hidden gem could be sitting right under someone's nose, a coin that looks ordinary but holds extraordinary potential, proving that even modern American quarters can surprise us decades after they were first struck. Coin number 4. Have you ever thought about how something as small and ordinary as a quarter could secretly hold tens of thousands of dollars in value? Most Americans never stop to examine the coins jingling in their pockets. They're so familiar, so mundane, that we spend them without a second thought. But hidden among the millions of quarters minted in the late 1970s lies a remarkable treasure, the 1977 Washington quarter with no mint mark. This coin looks ordinary, feels ordinary, and yet, in rare cases, it becomes extraordinary. And today, we'll explore exactly why this coin has captivated collectors and coin hunters alike for decades. The 1977 Washington quarter comes from the Philadelphia Mint, which at that time did not use mint marks. That means every Philadelphia-issued quarter from 1977 is a no mint mark coin, common in origin, but far from common in survival. Millions were struck and immediately released into circulation. They traveled through countless hands, wallets, cash registers, laundromats, vending machines, arcades, and even the smallest transactions in towns across America. Most coins from 1977 endured decades of wear, scratches, contact marks, flattened features, and loss of luster. Yet among this sea of ordinary coins, a very small percentage survived with exceptional detail and strong eye appeal. These survivors are the ones that have become the target of serious collectors. The 1970s were a fascinating era in U.S. coin production. By 1977, the mint had fully transitioned away from silver, producing clad copper-nickel quarters for general circulation. Production was focused on quantity over perfection, which created opportunities for exceptional coins to stand out. Dies wore down quickly, striking pressure varied, and millions of coins left the press with soft or uneven details. Washington's hair might appear flat or weak, the eagle's feathers could be poorly defined, and the coin's fields were often marred, even before circulation. Once these coins entered everyday use, their condition typically deteriorated rapidly. Collectors carefully examine three major aspects of the 1977 quarter: strike, luster, and surfaces. The strike refers to the clarity of Washington's hair, cheek, and the eagle's wings. Coins with sharper strikes are rare among circulated examples. Luster is another critical factor. Original mint luster is fragile and easily lost during circulation, yet coins that retain reflective fields or faint cartwheel effects are incredibly desirable. Finally, surface preservation matters enormously. Even minor scratches, dings, or contact marks can dramatically lower a coin's appeal. When a circulated coin maintains strong strike, original luster, and clean surfaces, it becomes highly coveted. Even though the 1977 quarter is a modern coin with no silver content and no famous mint errors, its story illustrates condition rarity perfectly. Millions of coins were produced, yet the number that survived circulation with superior detail, luster, and eye appeal is microscopic. This is why collectors continue to dig through rolls, jars, drawers, and even estate collections. The chance of finding a hidden treasure is real even decades later. The circulation history of these coins adds another fascinating layer. Imagine the journeys of a 1977 quarter, spent at a corner store in a small town, lost in a coin cup at a diner, dropped in a laundromat, slipped under a couch cushion, or stored in a jar of spare change in a garage. The vast majority of coins saw extensive, where almost immediately, few retain crisp detail or reflective surfaces. Yet in rare cases, a coin survived better than expected. Sharper hairlines defined eagle feathers and unusually clean fields, turning an ordinary circulation survivor into a prize for collectors. What makes the 1977 no Mintmark quarter even more intriguing is that its value is determined purely by condition, not by an error, rare Mintmark, or special metal composition. Unlike older silver coins or classic mint errors, this coin's worth comes entirely from how well it survived decades of use. A slightly better than average circulated coin can be worth far more than face value, making the hunt exciting for both hobbyists and professional collectors. Let's dive deeper into the subtleties that make certain 1977 quarters exceptional. The hairlines on Washington's head are the first place collectors look. Soft or flattened hair is common, but a coin that retains sharp, distinct strands immediately attracts attention. Next is Washington's cheek. Contact marks, scratches, or worn spots can lower value, but a clean cheek is a sign of superior preservation. The reverse is just as important. The eagle's wings, body, and feathers are studied carefully. Coins that preserve separation and detail, even after decades in circulation, are far rarer than one might think. Luster is another key differentiator. Original mint luster is fleeting on circulated quarters. The reflective surfaces that were present when the coin left the mint are often dulled or erased entirely by friction, handling, or environmental exposure. Yet, some coins survive with remnants of that original shine, casting flashes of light across the coin surface. When combined with strong strike and clean surfaces, such coins are exceedingly rare and highly prized by collectors. Even the smallest contact marks are scrutinized. A scratch on Washington's cheek, a dent in the eagle's wing, or a nick in the field can dramatically reduce the coin's market value. This level of attention to detail is what separates casual collectors from serious numismatists. And because the 1977 quarter was so widely circulated, coins with minimal marks are exceptionally scarce. Now, we come to the second last paragraph, the moment that proves the extraordinary value of this coin. One old circulated 1977 Washington quarter with no mint mark, a coin that had clearly spent decades in everyday circulation, sold for an incredible $35,000 at auction. This coin was not part of a mint set, nor was it an error coin, nor a silver variant. It was a standard circulated quarter, yet its exceptional preservation, strong strike, and clean surfaces set it apart from millions of others and turned it into a true treasure. This sale is proof that even ordinary coins, if they survive in unusually good condition, can become astonishingly valuable. And that is why collectors, coin enthusiasts, and everyday Americans continue to search for the 1977 no Mintmark quarter. They check bank rolls, jars of spare change drawers, and old collections. They hunt through coins that others dismiss, hoping to discover the next hidden gem. The 1977 Washington quarter proves that even ordinary circulation coins can hold extraordinary secrets, and sometimes the most valuable treasures are hiding in plain sight, right in your pocket, a jar, or a forgotten drawer. Coin number 5. What if I told you that the coin sitting in your pocket right now, a coin so ordinary you probably spend it without thinking, could secretly be worth tens of thousands of dollars? Most Americans handle quarters every single day without a second thought. They're tossed into vending machines, coin jars, cash registers, or left forgotten in drawers. But hidden among these ordinary coins is a treasure that only the most careful collectors know how to find. The 1998 Washington quarter with a D mint mark is one of these hidden gems. On the surface, it's a standard modern quarter. Yet, in the right circumstances, it becomes a coin that collectors will hunt for decades to acquire. Let's start with its origin. The 1998 D quarter was struck at the Denver Mint, a facility responsible for producing millions of circulation coins every year. It was designed for daily use, not for collectors or display. Millions entered circulation that year, but only a tiny fraction survived decades of handling with the condition necessary to attract serious collectors. Most of these coins show the wear and tear of everyday life, flattened features, dull luster, scratches, and minor contact marks. Yet, occasionally a coin defies the odds. Imagine a coin fresh from the Denver Mint, its surfaces bright, its strike crisp, the eagle on the reverse detailed, and Washington's hair sharp. It enters circulation, first in the hands of a customer at a grocery store, then slipping into a wallet, exchanged for a coffee, used in a parking meter, or dropped in a jar of spare change. Over the years, it travels through hundreds of transactions, touching countless hands, each leaving its mark. Most coins would lose their detail and shine. But sometimes a coin survives with surprisingly strong strike and clean fields, a quiet survivor hiding extraordinary value. Why do collectors care about these details? Because every coin tells a story. The strike of Washington's hair, the definition of the cheek, and the separation of the eagle's feathers are the first things experts look for. Even subtle differences can set a coin apart. Luster is equally important. Original mint luster is extremely fragile. The reflective surfaces that greeted the coin when it left the mint often vanish within months of circulation. Coins that retain a faint cartwheel effect or a reflective shine immediately stand out to collectors. Finally, surface quality is examined. Scratches, dings, contact marks, and discoloration all matter. The coin that excels in all three categories becomes extraordinarily rare. Now, let's dive into the production story because it explains a lot about why certain coins are more valuable than others. In 1998, the Denver Mint produced coins at an enormous scale. While minting processes were automated and highly precise, small variations still occurred. Dies could weaken over time, striking pressure could vary, and some planchets might have tiny flaws. Combined with the inevitable wear from circulation, this means that only a tiny percentage of coins survived in exceptional condition. The 1998 D quarter is one of these rare survivors. Collectors are constantly searching for these survivors. They go through old rolls, jars of coins drawers, and even forgotten collections in attics and basements. Every coin is examined with care. Washington's hairlines, cheek definition, eagle feather separation, edge sharpness, luster, and surface quality. The slightest difference can transform an ordinary coin into a collector's treasure. This is why the hunt is thrilling. The next roll or jar could contain a coin that defies the odds. Circulation history adds even more drama. Think about the thousands of places a coin could have been in its 25-plus years of life. From grocery stores, laundromats, arcades, parking meters, bank tellers, vending machines, and even tossed under couch cushions, each encounter leaves a mark. Most coins lose their features, flatten, or dull in appearance. Yet occasionally, one survives remarkably intact, preserving its crisp strike, clean surfaces, and faint traces of original luster. These coins are what collectors dream about. Even though this is a modern coin, its value is entirely determined by condition rarity. Unlike older coins with silver content, mint errors, or unusual mint marks, the 1998 D-quarter's worth comes purely from survival. Out of millions produced, only a small fraction meet the standards collectors are looking for. And those that do, they become a focus of intense searching, trading, and even auctions where prices can shock the average person. Collectors also appreciate the subtle beauty of these coins. Washington's hairlines are examined for depth and clarity. The cheek is studied for smoothness and absence of contact marks. The eagle's feathers on the reverse are evaluated for separation and definition. Even minor scratches or dents on the field can reduce a coin's value drastically. The rare coins that retain all of these features are not just valuable, they are practically irreplaceable. Now, let's talk about the suspense and thrill of discovery. Imagine opening a roll of 1998 D-quarters and noticing one that looks sharper, shinier, and cleaner than the others. Your heart races because you realize this might be the coin that collectors pay attention to, the coin that could be worth thousands, hidden in plain sight among ordinary circulation coins. It's a moment of excitement, anticipation, and discovery, a real-life treasure hunt. And now, we reach the second-last paragraph, the moment that proves why this coin is so remarkable. One old circulated 1998 Washington quarter with a D Mintmark, a coin that had clearly passed through decades of everyday transactions, sold for an astounding $29,000 at auction. This coin was not part of a mint set, nor was it an error or silver variety. Its extraordinary value came entirely from exceptional preservation, sharp strike, and clean surfaces, proving that even ordinary coins, when they survive circulation better than almost all others, can be worth a fortune. This sale serves as a reminder that coins we overlook can hide remarkable treasures. And that is why collectors, hobbyists, and even casual coin enthusiasts continue to search through rolls, jars, drawers, and old collections for the 1998 D Washington quarter. Every ordinary-looking coin could hold a secret worth thousands of dollars. The thrill of the hunt, the suspense of discovery, and the joy of uncovering a piece of history are what make these coins endlessly fascinating. The 1998 D quarter proves that even modern circulated coins can carry extraordinary stories and astonishing value, hidden in plain sight, waiting to be found by those who know how to look. Thank you for watching. If you loved learning about these rare and valuable coins, be sure to watch my previous video on Jefferson Nickels, where we uncover even more hidden treasures and amazing stories behind these coins. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel, hit the like button, and share this video with fellow coin collectors and enthusiasts. I'd love to hear from you. So leave a comment below telling me which coin fascinated you the most, or if you've ever found a rare coin of your own. Stay tuned, because on this channel, we reveal the most valuable and fascinating coins in America, and you won't want to miss what's coming next.